I always thought silence was the worst thing a family could throw at you. Until I heard them laugh. The kind of laugh that cuts through your spine and leaves you bleeding inside. Smiling anyway because you're too damn proud to flinch. It happened at Thanksgiving, the night everything I'd been holding together cracked clean down the middle. I had driven 4 hours to my parents' house through rain that hit the windshield like nails, wearing a dress that probably cost more than their car, not because I wanted to show off, but because I wanted to look like someone who had made it. I had. Sort of. My own business, my own loft, my own damn peace. Until that night. The house smelled like roasted turkey, cinnamon, and resentment. Mom opened the door, fake smile plastered across her face, her voice that syrupy sweet tone she only used before she twisted the knife. "Grace, you made it. We were starting to think you'd canceled again." "Traffic," I said, walking past her. "And I didn't cancel last year, Mom. You forgot to invite me." She froze for a second, then laughed too loud. "You always take things so personally." "Yeah, because you make them personal." Dad was in his usual spot on the recliner, beer in hand, TV on mute. He gave me a nod, not a hug. My sister Olivia, Miss Perfect Wife, Miss PTA Queen, Miss My Life is a Dream, was setting the table, diamond rings sparkling like a warning flare. She turned and smirked. "Well, well, if it isn't Miss Career Woman herself. Did you bring anyone? Or is it just you? Again?" "Just me," I said, jaw tight. "Shocker," she muttered, half under her breath, but loud enough. Mom chuckled. Dad didn't even look up. I wanted to leave right then, but something inside me whispered, "Stay. Just one last time. Face them." Dinner started stiff, the way it always did. Mom bragging about Olivia's husband's new promotion, Dad complaining about politics, and me sitting there like a ghost they'd forgotten they raised. Olivia leaned forward, wineglass in hand, fake sympathy dripping off her tongue. "Grace, aren't you lonely? I mean, no husband, no kids, all that money. What's the point if there's no one to share it with?" I smiled. "I share it with the IRS." She laughed like she thought I was joking. "Seriously though, don't you ever feel like you missed out? You're almost 33, right?" 31, I corrected. "Oh, right. Still plenty of time for someone to take pity." Mom giggled. "Olivia!" "What?" "I'm just saying, some people weren't meant for family life. Grace likes being independent." "No," I said softly. "Grace likes not settling." The air shifted. Dad looked up from his plate, eyebrows raised. Olivia grinned like she'd won something. "Oh, honey, that's what single people say when they can't get a date." That's when I snapped. I didn't yell. I didn't throw my drink. I just smiled sweetly and said, "You're right, Liv. Where's your husband tonight?" She blinked. "He's working." "On Thanksgiving?" "Yes, he's got a big client meeting." I tilted my head. "Funny, because I saw him last night at the Marquee with a blonde. Not you." The fork fell out of her hand. Mom gasped. Dad muttered, "Grace, enough." But I wasn't done. Years of swallowing humiliation burned their way up my throat. "You know what, Mom? You always said Olivia deserved the best because she made better choices, like marrying a guy for money, right? You ever think maybe I made better choices? Because at least I didn't marry a liar who spends your retirement checks." Mom slammed her hand on the table. "How dare you?" "How dare you?" I shot back. "Do you know I paid your mortgage this year? I covered your medical bills, your car insurance. I've been bailing this family out since I was 24. You call me selfish? But without me, this whole damn house would fall apart." The silence after that was thick. Olivia's eyes were glassy, her voice shaking. "You didn't have to do it, Grace. You chose to." "Yeah, because you never would have." Dad stood up, chair scraping back. "You think money makes you better than us?" "No," I said quietly, "but it sure as hell makes me free." I reached for my purse, but before I could stand, Olivia sneered, "At least I have someone. You don't even have a man who wants to sit next to you at dinner." That one hit hard, but I didn't let it show. I took a slow sip of wine, looked her dead in the eyes, and said, "You're right. I don't have a husband or kids. But you know what I do have? Power, freedom, and enough sense not to rely on anyone who laughs while I bleed." Mom's face twisted. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means," I said, voice steady, "I'm done. No more checks, no more covering for you. You all think you're better than me? Fine. Let's see how you do without me." The table went silent. The clock ticked. Olivia stared at me, mouth open, as I stood and set my napkin down. "That's the thing about family," I said, my voice shaking but strong. "You love them so much you forget they can destroy you, until one day you realize you can walk away." And I did. I walked out into the freezing November night, heels clicking on the pavement, tears hot on my face. My car door slammed behind me like a final chapter closing. But as I drove away, my hands shaking on the wheel, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. It read, "You don't know half of what your sister's hiding." I stared at the screen, heart pounding. Who the hell? Then another message. "Meet me tomorrow, 10 a.m., corner of Madison and 5th. It's about your family." I didn't sleep that night. Every ugly laugh, every cruel word from that dinner played on a loop in my head. By dawn, I'd made my decision. I wasn't just cutting ties. I was uncovering the truth. Because if there's one thing I learned that Thanksgiving, it's that when people show you who they really are, believe them. But when they try to hide something, you dig until the whole damn ground collapses. The city looked different that morning. Colder, sharper, like it was watching me. I parked near Madison and 5th, the kind of Manhattan corner that smells like ambition and burnt espresso, and stepped out in heels that could kill a man's ego. I wasn't sure what I was walking into, but the message had me wired all night. The unknown number, the words about my sister, it didn't feel like a prank. It felt personal. Then I saw him, leaning against a black Mercedes, coffee in hand, suit perfectly tailored, Ethan Cole, my ex. The man I hadn't seen in 5 years. The man I'd once thought I'd marry. The man who vanished right before our engagement, taking a job overseas and a piece of my heart with him. I froze. "Ethan?" He gave me that half smile that used to ruin my sleep schedule. "You look good, Grace." I crossed my arms. "You're the one texting me? About your family? What the hell is this?" He handed me a folder. No small talk, no apology, just the file, manila and heavy with secrets. "I didn't know how else to reach you. You wouldn't have picked up if I called." He wasn't wrong. I flipped it open, scanning the first page, and my breath caught. Bank transfers, signatures, corporate paperwork, my name, everywhere. "What is this?" I asked, my voice barely steady. "Proof your sister's been using your company's name to funnel money." I blinked. "What?" Ethan nodded grimly. "She's been rerouting contracts under a fake shell subsidiary, Graceworks Holdings. Looks similar enough to your real company, right? But it's not yours. It's hers. Or, well, her husband's. They've been using your credit and reputation to secure million-dollar deals, and the feds are starting to sniff around." I felt my blood run cold. No, that can't." "It's real," he said softly. "I wouldn't have called you if it wasn't." I slammed the folder shut. "You expect me to believe this? After everything? You walk back into my life after 5 damn years and hand me a conspiracy theory about my sister?" He looked straight at me, eyes unreadable. "Grace, she's setting you up. You'll be the fall guy when this explodes." The words hit like gunfire. I wanted to scream. Instead, I paced, heels clicking on the wet pavement, wind cutting through my coat. Olivia. My own sister. The girl who stole my clothes, my spotlight, and now, apparently, my company. "Why are you even helping me?" I asked finally. He hesitated. Because I made a mistake walking away. And because someone tipped me off that your sister's people were digging through your financials. They want to bury you before you can defend yourself. Who tipped you off? He shook his head. Someone inside her husband's firm. I don't know who yet, but they sent that file. I stared at the folder again, feeling my stomach twist. Betrayal didn't even cover it. It was treason wrapped in family ties. I exhaled slowly. If she's really behind this, I'll find out myself. But if you're lying... I'm not, he said simply. And if you're going after her, you're gonna need me. Need you? I scoffed. I don't need anyone, Ethan. Especially not the man who ghosted me for a paycheck. He didn't flinch. Then do it your way. Just don't wait too long. The numbers on those documents, they connect to offshore accounts in your name. That means when the IRS comes knocking, they won't be looking for Olivia. They'll be coming for you. I froze. And for the first time since that dinner, I wasn't angry. I was terrified. That night, I couldn't eat, couldn't think. I sat in my apartment overlooking the Hudson, the city glowing gold beneath me, and scrolled through every document Ethan gave me. The pattern was clear. My sister's husband, Mark, had been moving corporate money through fake contracts, using my business name as a shield. He'd even forged my digital signature. And Olivia had signed off on at least 2 of them. I wanted to believe it was a mistake, that maybe she didn't know. But the more I read, the more I saw her fingerprints, notes in her handwriting, emails where she CC'd my accountant, pretending to authorize deals. She wasn't just complicit, she was leading it. I poured a glass of wine and stared at my reflection in the window. You really did it, huh, Liv? I whispered. You wanted everything. Now, you're gonna get what you deserve. I didn't call Ethan. I didn't cry. I called my lawyer. By morning, I had my plan. Step 1, freeze every account linked to my name. Step 2, gather evidence before confronting her. Step 3, make them watch everything fall apart. A week later, I showed up unannounced at Olivia's suburban mansion, the kind of place that screamed fake happiness with its pristine hedges and tacky golden mailbox. She opened the door, wearing a silk robe and a forced smile. Grace, you didn't text first. Didn't feel like it. Can I come in? Of course. The place smelled like lemon cleaner and deceit. I followed her to the kitchen where she poured herself coffee like nothing was wrong. So, what brings you by? Need help decorating your apartment again? I pulled the folder from my bag and dropped it on the counter. Need you to explain that. Her face paled, just a flicker, but I caught it. I don't know what that is. Don't play dumb. You and your husband have been laundering money through my business. You used my name, my signature, my goddamn tax ID. You thought I wouldn't notice? Grace, that's ridiculous, she stammered. Mark handles everything. I don't even know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me, Liv. Her eyes hardened. Even if that were true, which it's not, why would I do that to you? I leaned in, voice low. Because you've always hated that I didn't need you, or mom, or dad. You wanted to prove I wasn't as strong as I thought. And now, you're about to find out how wrong you were. She backed up. You wouldn't ruin your own family. I smiled coldly. Watch me. As I turned to leave, her voice broke. Grace, please, if you go to the police, Mark will lose everything. We'll lose everything. Then maybe you should have thought of that before stealing from me. I walked out before I could change my mind. By the time I got home, my phone was blowing up. Calls from my parents, voicemails from Olivia sobbing, texts from Mark threatening lawsuits. I ignored them all. But that night, I got another text from Ethan. She's scared, which means she's gonna make a move. Watch your back. I typed back, good, let her. 2 days later, my lawyer called. Grace, you might want to sit down. What now? The IRS just opened a formal investigation. They think you're tied to a fraud ring involving one of your subsidiaries. The problem is, they have emails from your address authorizing it. My stomach dropped. Emails? What emails? He sighed. They're good, Grace. Whoever forged this knew exactly what they were doing. I hung up and threw my phone across the couch. Rage pulsed through me so hard it made my hands shake. I wanted to scream, to break something. Instead, I grabbed my laptop, logged in, and started digging. I traced every login, every IP, every digital breadcrumb, until I found it. Someone had logged into my business account from Olivia's husband's law firm server. And the last activity? Just 3 days ago. They weren't just trying to ruin me. They were finishing the job. That night, Ethan showed up uninvited. "You're in deep," he said quietly. "They're covering their tracks fast. You need to act now or you'll lose everything." I looked at him, tired, furious, scared, and more determined than I'd ever been. "No, they'll lose everything." He nodded. "Then we do this together." "Not together," I said, standing. "You help me get the proof. I'll deliver the punishment." He smiled faintly. "Still the same Grace?" "Not anymore," I said. "This time, I'm not playing nice." That night, as the city slept, I sat at my desk, drafting an email. It wasn't to Olivia or Mark. It was to a journalist, one of the biggest names in corporate crime reporting. Attached were copies of every document Ethan had given me, every fake transfer, every forged email. And the subject line read, "You'll want to see this before it breaks." I hit send and then leaned back, heart pounding, a smile creeping across my face. Thanksgiving had started it. Betrayal had fueled it. But what was coming next? That was justice, served ice cold. The next morning, the story hit national news. My sister's name was everywhere. But before I could even breathe, federal agents showed up at my door with a warrant in my name. The pounding on my door wasn't polite. It was the kind of knock that carries consequences, the kind that says, "We're not here to talk." I opened it to find 2 federal agents, badges out, expressions like stone. "Grace Miller?" one asked. "You're under investigation for wire fraud and tax evasion. We have a warrant to search the premises." I didn't even fight it. I just stepped aside, my heart hammering as they swept through my apartment like storm clouds in suits. One of them handed me a paper, my name all over it, my company, my accounts. "This is a mistake," I said, voice tight. "Someone's framing me." He looked at me with that practiced blank stare. "Then I suggest you find proof of that fast." They left hours later, taking half my files, my computers, even the drives Ethan gave me. My world, my carefully built empire, looked like a ransacked museum by the time they were done. The silence that followed was brutal. I sat on the couch, surrounded by broken glass and shredded confidence. I'd exposed Olivia, and now she'd flipped the game on me. I called Ethan. "They took everything," I said flatly. "Every file, every copy, everything." He swore under his breath. "I'll fix it." "You can't fix this," I snapped. "They're building a case against me." "Grace," he said quietly, "listen to me. I think I know who tipped them off." "Who?" "Mark. He's been trying to frame you since the beginning. He's already moving his money offshore. He knows the story's going to bury him, so he's trying to bury you first." "How?" I demanded. "How is he doing this?" Ethan hesitated. "There's one account left, a hidden backup system at your old company server. I can get to it, but it's risky. If we're caught, it looks like tampering." "Do it," I said. "I've got nothing left to lose." The next few days were chaos. News stations ran my name nonstop. Businesswoman linked to family fraud scandal. Paparazzi swarmed my building. My clients bailed. My bank froze my accounts. And my parents? They didn't call once. Olivia, though, she called plenty. First with fake concern, then with fake outrage. Grace, you've gone too far. The family's reputation is in ruins. I laughed bitterly. You mean your reputation? You brought this on yourself, she hissed. You should have just kept quiet. Quiet, I snapped. You stole from me, Liv. You used my name, my business, my life. And when I fought back, you tried to destroy me. There was a pause. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. I warned you not to come to dinner. Then she hung up. That night, Ethan texted, "Meet me, now. Rooftop of the old Regal Tower." I didn't hesitate. The city was sleepless, glowing like a circuit board of secrets. When I got there, he was already waiting, laptop open, wind whipping his hair. "Tell me you've got something," I said. "Better," he said, smirking. "I've got everything." He turned the screen toward me. There it was, a hidden trail of transactions from Mark's firm to shell companies under his name. Offshore transfers, digital signatures, his and Olivia's. "You can clear your name with this," Ethan said. "We leak it, the feds will flip the charges." "And what happens to them?" I asked. "They'll burn," he said simply. "Publicly." But as I stared at the screen, something twisted in me. It wasn't satisfaction, it was exhaustion. "Do you ever get tired of fighting, Ethan?" I asked quietly. "Every day," he said. "But some people only learn when the fire's hot enough." I nodded slowly. "Then let's turn up the heat." The next morning, the headlines flipped again. Exclusive. Fraud ring masterminded by Mark and Olivia Carmichael, sources reveal. Every document Ethan found was now in the hands of the same journalist I'd trusted before. My phone blew up again, but this time it wasn't hate, it was justice. Clients wanted to help, friends offered statements, the feds called to revisit my case. By evening, my name was off the suspect list. Olivia's and Mark's were on it, in bold. But karma's slow, like molasses in winter. Olivia wasn't just going to roll over. She showed up at my building that night, mascara running, voice trembling. "Grace, please," she begged as soon as I opened the door. "You have to stop this. They're going to take the house, the cars, everything." "You mean everything you stole?" "We're family," she cried. "You can't do this to me." "You did it to yourself." Her voice cracked. "I was jealous, okay? Mom and Dad worshipped you after you made it big. They acted like I was invisible. Mark said if I could pull this off, we'd finally be equals. But he lied to me too. He's gone, Grace. He emptied our accounts. I have nothing." For a second, I almost pitied her. Almost. "Then maybe now you know what it feels like, to be laughed at by the people you die for." She fell to her knees, crying, clutching my arm. "Please, I can't survive this." I stepped back. "Neither could I when you tried to ruin me." Then I closed the door, and this time I didn't look back. Weeks passed. Investigations wrapped. Mark was arrested trying to flee to the Bahamas. Olivia was charged with fraud and obstruction. My name was cleared publicly, officially. My company rebounded, stronger than before. But victory didn't taste like I thought it would. It was bittersweet, like champagne after a funeral. I'd won, but at the cost of a family that never really loved me. One evening, I went to the park near my childhood home. The winter air bit my skin, but it was peaceful. Kids laughed in the distance, couples strolled, the world kept moving. I sat on a bench watching the city lights blink awake and realized something. All my life, I'd been chasing their approval, trying to prove I was enough. But maybe the real win wasn't revenge, it was release. Letting go. My phone buzzed, a message from Ethan. "You did it." I smiled faintly. "No." I typed back, "I survived it." Later that week, I got an invitation, Thanksgiving dinner, from my parents. I laughed when I read it. Then, for reasons I couldn't explain, I went. When I walked in, the air was heavy, with shame instead of judgment this time. Mom hugged me first, awkwardly, eyes wet. Dad couldn't even look at me. The table was smaller, quieter. Olivia's seat was empty. "We made mistakes," Mom said softly. "We hurt you." "Yeah, you did." She reached for my hand. "Can we ever fix it?" I thought a long time before answering. "Maybe, but not today." We ate mostly in silence. When I stood to leave, Mom whispered, "I'm proud of you." And for once, I didn't need to hear it. I already knew who I was. I walked outside into the cold night, the same driveway where I'd once driven away in tears. This time, I felt light, free. As I got into my car, my phone rang. "Ethan." "So what now?" he asked. I smiled faintly. "No." I typed back, "I survived it." Months later, an envelope arrived. Inside was a check, $50,000, from Olivia. A note scribbled on hotel stationery read, "To pay back what I took. I'm trying to change." I smiled. Justice, it turns out, doesn't always come in handcuffs. Sometimes it comes when the people who broke you finally learn how to rebuild themselves.